What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Babbles Nonsense podcast. Today, we are diving into adult friendships, expectations, and all that comes with that. So if you would like to hear my take on that, stay tuned. All right. Welcome back. I don't know, y'all. I've been playing around with the introduction. I listened to the Skinny Confidential podcast and I just love how she does, like, she gives like a little intro and then there's her music and then you hear a little clip of who's on the podcast and then they do like their actual recorded intro and then the podcast starts. I love that. I'm playing around with my intro music, see what we like. I don't know. We'll see if it sticks. But I just want to go ahead and start out by saying I'm exhausted this week. And I keep telling myself I don't know why I'm exhausted because I feel like, it's just me. I'm solo. I'm not married. I don't have children. But then I have to remind myself, well, Jonna, you do work 2 jobs and you try to do everything by yourself at home, whether that be cooking, cleaning, laundry. No, I don't have kids or a husband to do that for, but it's still difficult for yourself when you're working between 2 jobs. But can't complain about it because I need to be very fortunate that I'm very blessed that I have 2 jobs, because there was a point last year that I thought I wasn't going to have a job at all and thought I was going to have to move. So I'm not trying to complain. I'm just very exhausted. And so I didn't know if I was going to get this podcast out. I say that every week, but this week I actually meant it because I took a nap earlier, which is so unlike me if you know me. I'm not a napper, but I sat down on the couch and was like, I'm not meal prepping at this moment. I am napping. Well, I didn't say I was napping. I literally was like watching TV and was like, yep, it's going to happen. I'm going to fall asleep. But anyways, that is not what the podcast is about today. But before we dive into that, talking about like adult friendships situation, I also wanted to update everyone if you're following along on my like dietary journey, I guess. I haven't really been on social media lately, which is something else I need to address, because I've had people reach out to me and like, you're not on social media, or I'll go somewhere and be like, hey, I haven't seen you on social media. You're not posting. I'm like, I'm just not, because now granted, I'm on social media. Like I'm scrolling, don't get me wrong, but I'm just not posting. I haven't really been in my stories unless it's just something for the podcast or something that I'm advertising, working with a friend with my, kind of updating everybody about my eyebrows. And it's just mostly because it's bringing me peace and joy to not be, because I used to post things obviously to show people what's going on, but then like for validation a little bit. And since working with me and you, and y'all followed me along a little bit on that journey, I just haven't felt the need to do that. Like I don't need someone to like my photo for me to feel good about myself. And I'm not saying that people only do that. Like people have social media to share their lives. I'm just saying, like, for whatever reason, I've just taken a step back. Also, I haven't really done anything to post about. So there's also that aspect of it. I'm a homebody. It's just who I am. But when there are interesting events to go to or going out, then I will post about it. And sometimes I'm just in the moment and I'll leave the situation and be like, damn, I didn't even take any photos. And that's how you know you had a good time, in my opinion. But what I was saying was, if you haven't been listening to the podcast and you're just kind of jumping in, I had talked about an elimination diet that I was trying. Well, yeah, that epically failed like multiple times. I started it May 5th and I made it 3 weeks, and then I ended up cheating on it, and then I went back on it for another 3 weeks, cheated again, and then I was like, maybe the summer isn't the best time to do an elimination diet. So then when I was like, okay, I'm just coming off of the elimination diet, which is where you eliminate all things that are inflammatory, I had the worst stomach ache ever. And I was just dying. I was like, maybe I shouldn't have added all these foods back in at one time. Like maybe there's something is to this. And so ever since, like my stomach has not been feeling right. It's just hurting every time I eat something. So I was like, maybe I should go back on the elimination diet and figure it out exactly what is hurting my stomach. We'll see. I don't know. I think there's just a lot of inflammation in my body anyways. That's why y'all know I'm trying all these biohacking things. But nevertheless, sorry for all the rambling, babbling, whatever you want to call it. Let's dive into today's episode. And it's about adult friendship, which is kind of an odd topic, but this is just conversation that keeps happening. Like I said earlier, we were at book club last week and we just started talking about friendships and things like that. And I was like, yeah, I've had, recently after working with me and you and going through my energy healing journey, I've just realized that, some things just are not for me anymore, whether that be personalities, negativity, or whatever. Some things like I've just noticed more, and it's probably something because I noticed in myself, which is also interesting in itself because there is this topic of mirroring, quote unquote. And there's this theory that if we hate something that we see in someone else, it's because we hate it in ourselves and we know that we do it. And that's very interesting because I 50% believe that, and then I 50% don't, because I do see aspects in some people like that are obviously not my friends. And I'm like, I don't like that about them, and that's why we're not friends. But I don't necessarily think I have the same trait, but maybe I do. Who knows? But I want to read a little snippet from this article that kind of explains it a little bit better. So here goes. So this is from an article offline, and it says, when certain characteristics in someone's personality trigger a negative reaction from you, there is something within you that is coming up because it is ready to be healed. Usually it represents issues from your past that have gone unresolved. An example of this would be constantly attracting people who betray you in close relationships because you have not dealt with a parental abandonment issue from your past. What you are seeing is a manifestation of your belief that you cannot trust anyone with your feelings. Here is another example. You are someone who has a constant need to prove to others that you are quote unquote right. Chances are you will attract people who strongly disagree with you because they also have the need to convince others to see life from their perspective. Also, if you dislike controlling people, most likely you will dislike some bossy tendencies within yourself. So everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves, says Carl Jung, which interesting, right? And I had to sit here and think about it in all my friendships that I've had. And I'm like, well, I can see that me and a friend recently had a disagreement probably 2 months ago. And when I talked to me and you about it, going through all the healing stuff with her, she was like, y'all, you do realize y'all are mirroring each other. Like what you're saying you dislike in her is something that you've healed from your past. And to bring that into more perspective, we were kind of arguing about nutritional things or loving yourself, loving your body, because I have entered this healing journey in that because I used to talk so negatively, whether that be about anything. I was so miserable in the job that I had. I spoke about that on this podcast. And I was so miserable in the situationship that I was in years ago. And with that miserability, if that's a word, I became this negative person. And I used to just say, well, I'm not negative. I'm just realistic. This is realistic. If I do this bad thing is going to happen. When really it is a negative energy because it's not allowing anything good to happen in your life. Bringing back to book club 2 years ago, that's when I decided to start trying to be more positive because my aunt, my friends were like, Johnny, you're just very pessimistic. You don't think on the bright side of things. And when so many people say something, then there's truth to it, right? If one person says it, it's yeah, okay, whatever. If 2, 3, 4, 5 people say something you're having a negative personality, then there is some truth to that. And you have to be introspective and go, okay, I'm not seeing this, but either work with a therapist, work with an energy healer, whoever you want to work with, and be where is this truth coming from? Why do I get so agitated when someone says that I'm negative? Because I am. But so I used to have this negative personality, and I see this in one of my friends, and I was like, I'm noticing it more that you're being negative. And when I would try to say something, it was an instant no, I'm not, you don't know everything, which I get. Some people don't want to be told hey, this is going on. And some people don't want to be introspective into their life and look at situations. And I'm not saying just because you as a friend tell somebody something that it's the end all be all either. I'm just saying if multiple people are saying it, then it's time to be introspective. So I just thought that was a very interesting article about mirroring. And then something else that I just realized, not just realized, but over the past few years, as I get older, when we're younger, we want everyone to like us. Or I don't know if you do, if you're listening to this, but I did. I wanted everyone to like me. I didn't want people to be mad at me. I wanted, to be that perfect friend. I'll do this for you. I'll do that for you. Just never agitate or annoy a friend because I just thought that's what friendship was. I learned that somewhere along the line, which obviously need to figure out where. But as I've gotten older and gone on this healing journey, I realize not everyone's going to like you. I mean, I don't like everyone. And it's okay for somebody to go, I just really don't like your personality. I think you're a little bit too much. I think you're, I think you're a little crazy. I think that's okay. I think that's okay. It's okay to not be perfect. It's okay for people to not like you. It's okay to change who you are. Obviously your values typically stay the same, but to learn and grow, like me being this negative person, growing into being more positive and, trying to look on the brighter side of things, that's me changing. And along the way, that with me changing, I will grow apart from some friendships that no longer serve me, or maybe my friendship to them no longer serves them. And that's something that really, when I thought about it or sat down and was like, I really need to do a podcast on this because I'm sure other people feel this way. It's hard. It's hard when you've had friends for 10, 12 years. It's hard to be like, I just don't think that we're serving each other right now. And this friendship maybe needs to go on a back burner. That's a hard conversation to have. And I think if you've been friends 10 or 12 years, that is a conversation that should be had if you're just trying to, say that the friendship isn't serving you anymore. And I'm not talking about 10, 12, 13, 15-year friendships. Those typically, they say, statistics say if you've had a friend that's been there for 10 years in your life, they're friends to stay. Because I was trying to look up statistics for this podcast specifically, and one of them was 30% of your closest friends will remain friends after 7 years. So they say, I guess you have friendships that mostly last less than 7 years, and then some will last longer than 7 years. And my aunt used to say that to me too. She said there's different stages of friendships, like friendships that are meant for, a season. What's the saying go? I think it's something like your friends are meant for a season or a reason or a lifetime. And there's reasons why people enter your life, just like that article said earlier. If something you're trying to heal from or something you need to heal from, you're going to be presented that over and over and over. And that accounts for friendship too. I think I spoke about this maybe on 2 to 3 episodes back when I was talking about, going through the journey with me and you. She had to explain to me that, you're going to keep getting the same lesson in your life until you learn it. Recognize what, she was like, if you've literally dated the past 3-4 men that you've dated are emotionally unavailable, then something in you is telling you that you need to heal from being emotionally unavailable yourself. And once you heal that and your energy is different, then the universe will stop sending you that lesson over and over. And that's with anything. I just had a conversation with a friend not too long ago. She has a hard time standing up for herself or, not feeling bad when she does, because what she's standing up for is 1,000% right. Her arguments 1,000% right. And we had a discussion because she had, left, we worked at the same place and she left that job to work at another job. And then this new job was kind of treating her the same way the old job was, just, adding more on her plate, less time, not giving a raise, things kind of like that. And, I was like, it doesn't matter if you leave this job, you're going to go to another job where they're going to do the same thing until you stand up for yourself and know that what you're saying and what you're doing is right. So I'm going to end it there. Very short conversation, thoughts, just been kind of in my head this weekend, and just wanted to put that out there for everyone, because most of us all have adult friendships, and maybe you've gone through this with some friends where you're going through different seasons in your friendship. That doesn't mean you're not friends anymore. It just means that sometimes you have to take a step back and just do what's right for you. And that's something also that I'm learning is sometimes it's okay to do what you want to do and not do what other people want to do. But that's also a people-pleasing thing, and another topic for another day. So I hope you liked this episode. If you like it, always, go to Apple Podcasts, rate, subscribe, review the podcast. That helps the podcast get out into the world in front of other people. If you don't, send me a DM, tell me what I can do better. Obviously, I know I need to interview more people, which I do have some interviews coming up, so I'm super excited about that. Kayla from the Brow Bar, as soon as we can lock down a date. Olivia is going to come back on the podcast. We have decided that because her schedule is so busy and my schedule is so busy, we may just have to do Zoom and just put it out there like that. Hey, it works. I love her. She's a light. She's so funny, and she brings a breath of fresh air to this podcast, not to mention have someone to bounce some ideas off of, because trying to do solo is really hard to me. Like, I have all these thoughts in my head, but then when I sit down to record them, I'm like, literally, guys, this is how my head works. Like, ping pong thoughts. So those were coming up, and I'm interviewing Coach Carrie. I met her online, so it's like an online friendship, and I just love her. She's so funny in her reels, and she just gives so much knowledge. And she also talks about gut health, fitness, nutrition, all the things, and the way she's doing it's totally different. Can't wait to pick her brain on all that, which will be out next week. And yeah, until next time, guys, as always, bye.